baby girl.
Hey, Liberty.
I'm in the shower. Thank you.
The movie begins with Liberty Wells, a shy and introverted young girl who is deeply fascinated by archaeology. She has just finished attending a summer camp where she spent most of her time reading books instead of interacting with the other campers. When the camp ends, her mother Michelle comes to pick her up. Michelle is a writer going through a difficult period in her career, but despite her struggles, she still tries to stay energetic and cheerful, unlike Liberty, who takes life very seriously. While driving home, Michelle attempts to talk to Liberty about her time at camp and even asks if there were any boys who caught her attention. Liberty becomes annoyed by the questions and responds with short answers without even lifting her eyes from her book. Trying to lighten the mood, Michelle turns on the radio and starts singing along to a silly song before telling Liberty how much she missed her. Liberty quickly glances at her mother and quietly admits that she missed her too, then immediately returns to reading again. A little later, Michelle pulls the car over and asks Liberty to drive. Liberty reminds her that she doesn't even have a driver's license, but eventually agrees. As they approach their lakeside home, Liberty notices a large for sale sign and becomes so shocked that she nearly loses control of the car. Michelle explains that she is selling part of the property to help pay for Liberty's future college expenses. However, Liberty soon notices the expensive watch on her mother's wrist, which clearly doesn't match her claims about financial problems. Michelle eventually admits that it was a gift from her new boyfriend, someone she wants Liberty to meet. The moment they arrive home, Liberty sees a handsome man named John emerging from the water, and she instantly can't take her eyes off him. John warmly welcomes Liberty and reassures her that he would never interfere with the special bond she shares with her mother. After John leaves, Liberty asks her mother why she never told her about him before. Michelle admits that she wasn't sure the relationship would actually last. A little later, John brings Liberty a small box containing an old piece of jewelry. Knowing how much Liberty loves archaeology, he carefully picked out a bracelet featuring a Navajo life stone, a symbol associated with fertility and life. Liberty is genuinely touched by how thoughtful the gift is. Even though she normally wears loose and oversized clothes, Liberty suddenly decides to put on a beautiful open-neck dress before going downstairs for lunch. During the meal, Liberty asks how Michelle and John first met. Michelle explains that she came home earlier than expected one day and found increases the amount of fresh water underground, while increased seawater evaporation makes the remaining freshwater become saltier. As a result, many species begin to die. John and his team are trying to help these organisms adapt to saltwater conditions so they can survive. In a way, he jokingly describes it as saving the world. Suddenly, John starts coughing violently and leans over the table. Michelle immediately rushes to him in concern, and he pulls her into a hug. But at the same time, he places his other hand on Liberty's exposed shoulder, making her feel strangely uncomfortable. Later that night, Liberty lies awake thinking about John. Eventually, she decides to go downstairs to get something to drink from the kitchen. As she walks back toward her room, she suddenly hears disturbing noises, screams, and moaning coming from Michelle and John's bedroom. Liberty cautiously moves closer to the door, but the moment she hears another loud sound, she panics, runs back to her room, and hides under the covers. At that moment, John quietly walks out of the bedroom completely naked and heads to the kitchen to get a glass of water. On his way back, he stops in front of Liberty's bedroom door and stares at her, believing she is asleep. The next morning, Liberty sees Michelle and John kissing in the kitchen, and she immediately feels jealous. Wanting to interrupt the moment, she awkwardly walks in between them. Liberty then reminds Michelle that today is an important day because of their family tradition. Every year, they place small objects and handwritten messages into boxes buried in the garden for the loved ones they have lost. Liberty suggests adding something for her grandfather, who passed away 9 years earlier, but Michelle refuses. The rejection deeply hurts Liberty because she was very close to her grandfather, unlike Michelle, who never really got along with him. Liberty accuses her mother of always being cold toward her father and claims that was the reason he left the lake house to Liberty instead of her. Michelle becomes upset by the accusation and finally admits that her father never truly loved her and completely abandoned her after the divorce. Hurt and emotional, Michelle walks back into the house while Liberty wanders near the lake alone. While walking, Liberty tries to lift a rock but suddenly gets bitten by an M44 creature hiding underneath it. Angry and startled, she is about to crush it with her foot when John suddenly appears and stops her. He explains that the creature is a rare species and that the mother was only protecting her babies. After examining the wound, John tells Liberty that the M44 is venomous. He then gently takes her hand and softly blows on the bite, making Liberty feel even more embarrassed and flustered. John notices that Michelle still seems upset and offers to leave if he is causing problems between them. Liberty asks him if he truly loves her mother, and after their conversation, she convinces him to stay. Later, Liberty finds Michelle looking emotionally exhausted and apologizes for bringing up her grandfather earlier. Michelle then reveals that John has asked her to marry him, and she said yes. Michelle admits that she truly loves John, but she also wants to make sure Liberty supports their marriage. Although Liberty is shocked by the news, she manages to smile for her mother's sake and wishes her happiness. Michelle warmly hugs her daughter, but then nervously warns her not to reveal her real age to John. He believes she is around 35 years old, while in reality she is 42. Michelle begs Liberty to keep the secret because she is afraid the truth could ruin their relationship. Later that same day, Liberty accidentally catches John drinking his own sweat, which completely unsettles her. Feeling both curious and disturbed, she decides to secretly explore the basement laboratory John has set up, hoping to learn more about him. Down in the basement, John unexpectedly finds her there and begins showing her his research on ancient parasites capable of surviving in both freshwater and saltwater environments. He talks about the creatures with strange admiration, which surprises Liberty. She even tells him that he is kind of weird. John then offers to help Liberty collect new samples near the lake, and she agrees. While they are out on the water, Liberty asks John about his age and education. He tells her that he is to keep her secret. Suddenly, Liberty realizes she has gotten her period, and the water inside the boat begins turning red. John quickly hands her a shirt to cover herself, but his reaction shocks Liberty. He apologizes for acting so suddenly and reassures her that nothing is wrong. Then, in a deeply disturbing moment, John licks the blood from his fingers, terrifying Liberty even more. After they return home, Liberty goes to take a shower. As she removes the bracelet John gave her, she notices a large red mark on her wrist underneath it. Without warning, John suddenly enters the bathroom and asks if she is okay. But instead of leaving immediately, he begins smelling her clothes before picking up the shirt she had used earlier. Liberty becomes even more suspicious of John and grows increasingly anxious about his behavior. Wanting someone to talk to, she tries calling her friend Marley to explain everything that has been happening, but Marley does not answer. So Liberty leaves her a message saying that her mother is about to marry a strange man and begs her to come over. A little later, Liberty finds a sandwich and a handwritten note from John slipped under her bedroom door. In the note, he apologizes for his behavior earlier and promises that it will never happen again. Back in her room, Liberty looks out the window and notices a strange orange light glowing from the lake. To her shock, she sees John walking directly into the water toward the mysterious light. Liberty immediately runs outside, but by the time she reaches the lake, the glowing light has completely disappeared. Suddenly, John appears behind her. Liberty insists that she saw him entering the lake, but John calmly claims that it is impossible because his clothes are completely dry. He explains that he suffers from sleepwalking and says he does not remember how he ended up outside. Even though he apologizes, Liberty does not believe him. She points out that if he had truly been sleepwalking, he would not have remembered to lock the house door behind him. The following day, Michelle starts feeling sick and asks Liberty to drive into town to buy medicine and a pregnancy test from the pharmacy. After gathering everything she needs, Liberty suddenly spots John outside with another woman. Shocked and confused, she quickly runs after them. However, the pharmacist stops her before she can leave, reminding her that she forgot to pay for the items. Because she is so distracted, Liberty loses sight of both John and the mysterious woman. When Liberty finally returns home, she finds Marley waiting for her in the living room. Liberty asks her to wait a moment while she checks on her mother, but when she enters the room, she finds John sitting beside Michelle. Liberty nervously hands over the medicine and hesitates to mention the pregnancy test in front of him. However, John calmly reassures her that Michelle already told him about it. Liberty offers to help with anything else, but John gently tells her that he will stay with Michelle and asks her to go spend time with her friend instead. Before she leaves, he casually tells Liberty that she looks very beautiful. Liberty tells Marley about all the strange things that happened with John, including what happened on the boat. Marley immediately suggests that Liberty should tell her mother everything, but Liberty feels like it would not make any difference because Michelle is completely in love with John. Instead, Marley encourages Liberty to confront John directly about his behavior. She bluntly tells her, "He touched you, and you were clearly uncomfortable." Suddenly, Liberty wakes up in her bed, confused about how she even got there. She walks into the living room and finds Michelle and John cuddling together on the couch while watching TV. Liberty asks why nobody woke her up after Marley left, and Michelle laughs, saying that Liberty was sleeping too deeply to be disturbed. Then, without warning, Michelle announces that she is pregnant and asks Liberty to support her. Immediately, Liberty becomes nervous and wonders if Marley said anything to her mother. Michelle suddenly gets irritated and reveals that she already spoke to Marley about the situation. She insists that John did nothing wrong, especially since he already apologized. Liberty argues that John's behavior has still been strange and disturbing, but Michelle loses her temper and accuses Liberty of always ruining everything. She firmly declares that John is staying and even demands that Liberty apologize to him. John tries calming the situation down and assures everyone that everything is fine. But while he hugs Michelle, Liberty completely loses control and tries pulling her mother away from him. In the middle of the chaos, Michelle angrily slaps Liberty. Furious and emotional, Liberty suddenly blurts out Michelle's real age, revealing that she is actually 42 instead of 35. John looks completely shocked, his face turning red before he storms out of the house. Michelle becomes even angrier and demands to know why Liberty hates John so much. She insists that John loves her despite all her flaws and suddenly disappears into the darkness. Terrified by what she saw, Liberty decides to enter the lake and search for answers herself. But after finding nothing, she jumps back into the car and drives around to the other side of the lake. When her headlights shine across the water, she suddenly spots something that looks exactly like a spaceship hidden in the lake. Panicking, Liberty races back home and tries to tell her mother about what she discovered, but Michelle is nowhere to be found. Completely terrified, Liberty rushes down into the basement and freezes in horror when she finds Michelle tied up inside a water tank, submerged up to her waist. As Liberty desperately tries to free her, Michelle finally realizes that Liberty had been right about John all along. But sadly, she admits it may already be too late to save her. Suddenly, Liberty hears footsteps approaching and quickly hides. From her hiding place, she overhears enough to confirm the horrifying truth. John is not human at all, he is an alien creature. Long ago, John's planet was covered in salt water, and his species could no longer survive on it. The experiments and research he talked about regarding freshwater and saltwater adaptation were never about Earth's environment, they were actually about saving his own species. John then removes his human disguise, revealing a slimy alien form, and approaches the tank where Michelle is trapped. He explains that he has been waiting for a creature to be born. But when the new creature finally emerges, John reacts with disappointment. He picks up the newborn organism and swallows part of it whole. Horrified, Liberty quietly locks the basement door and runs back to free her mother. She tries calling the police, but none of the calls go through. Moments later, John appears outside the window, trying to convince Liberty that he only wants to help Michelle. Liberty then notices a strange device nearby that is blocking the phone signal. She quickly smashes it, finally managing to contact the police and warn them that John is dangerous. While waiting for help to arrive, Liberty looks around the flooded basement and suddenly sees Marley's dead body floating in the water. At that exact moment, John smashes his way into the basement, grabs Liberty by the throat, and reveals his terrifying alien tongue. In a desperate attempt to survive, Liberty spots a container of salt nearby and throws it directly onto John. The salt burns his alien skin instantly, causing him to scream and writhe in agony. Liberty takes the opportunity and quickly runs to her mother, managing to free her from the tank. Together, they escape from the house and try to get away as fast as possible. After a while, Liberty suddenly loses consciousness. When she wakes up again, she finds herself tied up in a strange room. In front of her, she sees several men who look exactly like John. She immediately realizes that the man she saw earlier in town was most likely another one of them as well, meaning there are multiple beings like him working together. She understands that these beings have been using humans as part of a plan to continue their existence, studying and experimenting in secret to ensure their survival. The creatures begin breaking through the structure around them, and John approaches Liberty, telling her that they do not have much time left. From his mouth, he releases a glowing energy sphere and forces it toward Liberty. She struggles, but he manages to transfer her into a new containment area, causing her to lose consciousness. When she wakes up again, she finds herself inside a large tank that is quickly filling with water. She looks around in fear and sees other women trapped in similar tanks nearby, realizing that they are all part of the same experiment. Liberty finally understands the truth. These beings are using humans as part of their plan to preserve their species and continue their existence on Earth. She looks around in shock as the water continues to rise, realizing the terrifying reality of what is happening to them. And with that, Liberty realizes that some secret